A human mechanic found a ship on an asteroid. The discovery shook the Federation. Jax Corbin wiped the sweat from his forehead and squinted at the jagged rocks of asteroid Vera. 7. The mining station he had called home for the last 6 months looked small against the endless void. But to Jax, it was the perfect place to hunt for forgotten treasures. Most humans saw the asteroid belt as dangerous, barren, and useless. But Jax saw opportunity. He adjusted his tool belt, the worn leather straps creaking as he bent to examine a fractured panel on an old mining drone. Sparks flew when his wrench hit the stubborn bolts, and Jax grinned. "You don't know it yet, buddy, but you're about to work properly again," he muttered. He always talked to his machines. It helped him think. Mining drones were designed for brute force, not clever repairs. That's why humans like Jax were valuable. Machines didn't need intuition, but humans did. And Jax had plenty of it. He could look at a broken piece of metal and guess exactly how it worked. That skill had kept him alive in places far harsher than Vera. 7. The asteroid was quiet, almost unnervingly so. Jax liked quiet. The silence gave him space to think, to notice things others missed. That's how he found the odd glint in the cave 2 kilometers from his station. At first it looked like a shard of metal mixed with the gray stone, catching the weak light of his portable lamp. But something about it was wrong. It didn't belong here. Curiosity burned inside him. Jax had explored dozens of caves on Vera Galeni.
7, but this one seemed different.
The rock walls were unusually smooth, almost polished. He tightened the straps on his pack and stepped inside, the beam from his lamp cutting through the dark. The air smelled faintly of old metal and something else, something familiar and alien at the same time. He reached the source of the glint and froze. Half buried in the asteroid rock was a ship. Not like the shuttles humans or even the Federation used. This ship was sleek, almost organic in shape, its surface shimmering with a faint blue hue. The edges seemed to shift slightly when he moved, reflecting light like a living mirror. Jax's heart raced. He had never seen anything like this. His hands itched to touch it, to feel the smooth curves and trace the alien patterns etched into the hull. But he stopped himself. He knew the rules. Federation law strictly forbade unauthorized salvage of alien technology. A human caught tampering with a foreign ship could face years in a containment facility. Or worse. Yet standing there, staring at the ship, Jax felt a thrill he hadn't felt in years. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a challenge, a puzzle, waiting to be solved. He circled the ship carefully, tapping his helmet's sensors against its hull. His scanner beeped, unable to recognize the material. Not steel, not titanium, not anything in the human database. Whatever this was, it reacted to his touch, almost like it was aware of him. Jax knelt to examine a small panel near the ship's entrance. It wasn't a door in the way humans thought of doors. It was more like a seam in the hull, smooth and continuous, without hinges or handles. He ran his fingers over it, feeling faint vibrations under the surface. "You're not from around here, are you?" he whispered. He retrieved a tiny multi-tool from his belt, its sensors designed to detect and interface with unknown electronics. Slowly, carefully, he pressed it against the panel. The ship hummed softly, a deep, resonant vibration that made Jax's chest tingle. Then, almost as if acknowledging him, the seam shifted and parted, revealing a dimly glowing interior. Jax held his breath. The light inside was soft, calming, yet it revealed an interior more advanced than anything he had ever seen. Panels floated slightly above the surfaces. No buttons, no switches, just a network of glowing lines that seemed to pulse with energy. He stepped inside, careful not to touch anything too quickly. His boots clicked on the smooth floor, echoing faintly. He felt like an intruder in someone else's world, yet the ship welcomed him in its own silent way. A large screen lit up ahead, showing symbols and shapes Jax didn't understand. But a small holographic projection hovered in front of him, and he could make out some images. Ships, planets, stars, and a race of beings unlike any humans had ever seen. They had long, slender bodies, translucent skin, and eyes that seemed to shimmer with light. Jax's mind raced. Who were they? How long ago had they lived? And why was this ship here, buried in a rock far from any known trade route or civilization? He ran a hand over the hologram. It flickered slightly, as if responding to his touch. Then he noticed something extraordinary. A record of star maps and coordinates, including sectors unknown to the Federation. Someone had traveled farther than any human, farther than any alien the Federation had recorded. And now, somehow, a human was the first to see it in centuries. Jax backed out carefully, his mind buzzing with ideas. He needed to document this, but he also knew that Federation sensors would detect anomalies. One wrong step, and officials could arrive any moment, demanding control of the ship. He sat down on a nearby rock outside the cave and pulled out his portable console. His hand shook slightly as he connected it to the ship's interface. The console beeped and whirred, slowly syncing with the alien system. Jax leaned back, amazed. Humans had never created anything like this, and yet he could understand parts of it, intuitively, just by observing. Hours passed, and the asteroid's dim light shifted. Jax barely noticed. He was lost in the joy of discovery, piecing together the ship's basic functions: energy generation, propulsion, and a rudimentary life support system. He didn't fully understand the technology yet, but he was getting closer. Then a faint vibration ran through the asteroid. Jax froze. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but he had learned to trust his instincts. The vibration wasn't natural, it was a sensor ping coming from the Federation's monitoring network. They had detected the ship. Jax's heart raced. He had a choice: leave and let someone else claim the discovery, or stay and risk being caught, but potentially unlock the secrets of this alien craft. He looked back at the ship. Its panels glowed softly, as if inviting him in. Jax smiled, a mixture of fear and excitement.
Well, he muttered, looks like humans aren't supposed to find everything, but sometimes we do anyway.
He made a decision. He would stay. He would learn what this ship could do, and he would do it carefully, one step at a time. As night fell over Vera, 7, the asteroid shimmered faintly under the light of distant stars. In the shadows of the cave, a human mechanic was about to change the galaxy's understanding of what humans were capable of. Jax settled in for a long night of tinkering, his tools laid out like a painter's brushes. Every adjustment, every careful connection, was a small victory. For the first time in months, he felt truly alive. And somewhere deep inside the ship, buried under centuries of silence, it waited for him to discover its full potential. By dawn, Jax had mapped the basic systems, recording everything carefully. He took a step back and admired the ship. It wasn't just a relic. It was a bridge between humanity and the stars, a test of human ingenuity. Little did he know, the Federation's curiosity was already stirring, and soon humans would be forced to prove that cleverness, courage, and curiosity could match, or even surpass, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But for now, on the quiet asteroid, it was just a man, a ship, and the stars. And that was enough. The distant stars gleamed like frozen diamonds over Vera, 7, but the calm beauty of the night did little to ease Jax Corbin's racing mind. He had spent hours examining the alien ship, mapping its systems and trying to understand its strange energy patterns. Each discovery thrilled him, but each also made him more aware of the danger he faced. He wasn't alone for long. A subtle hum vibrated through the asteroid's surface. It started faint, almost like a heartbeat. Then it grew, resonating in his boots, the walls of the cave, even in his chest. Jax froze, his hands hovering over the ship's controls. He had sensed anomalies before, but this was different. Someone, or something, was coming. A holographic display flickered in the ship's cabin, responding to the vibration. Lines of glowing symbols swirled in patterns Jax couldn't recognize at first, but instinct told him they were scanning signals. Federation, he muttered under his breath. His suspicions had been right. The Federation had detected the energy signature. He stepped out of the cave, squinting against the pale light. In the distance, a sleek Federation ship appeared, its sensors sweeping over the asteroid. Jax's heart pounded. They expected a lone miner, maybe some salvaged rocks, certainly not a human staring down an alien marvel centuries old. The ship hovered just above the surface. A hatch opened, and two figures in standard Federation uniforms floated down using magnetic boots. They were careful, professional, their movements precise, but their eyes betrayed curiosity and a hint of disbelief.
Jax stepped forward, raising his hands in a non-threatening gesture. "Evening," he called.
"You're a bit early for sightseeing." The taller officer, a woman with sharp features, narrowed her eyes. "This is a restricted zone, civilian. Identify yourself and explain your presence." Jax smiled faintly. "Name's Jax Corbin, mechanic. I repair drones and salvage tech for the stations around here, and right now, I'm exploring." He gestured casually toward the cave entrance. "Found something interesting." The second officer, a younger man, frowned. "Interesting is an understatement. That ship, where did you find it?" Jax stepped aside, revealing the alien craft. Their reaction was subtle, almost imperceptible, but he noticed the flicker of surprise in their eyes. "Found it in a cave," he said simply. "Just over that ridge." The taller officer stepped closer, scanning the hull with a handheld device. The scanner beeped, trying to identify the materials. The readings were nonsense. "What? What is this?" she asked, disbelief creeping into her voice. Jack shrugged.
"I don't know, but it works, and it's older than anything I've ever seen."
"And it's alive somehow."
"Alive?" the young officer repeated.
"Not alive like us," Jax explained, his hands moving as he spoke. "But it responds, reacts, adjusts. I think it's aware of what I do. I've spent hours studying it. No harm done. Yet." The woman straightened, her voice firm. "We need to secure it for the Federation. This kind of technology..." Jax held up a hand. "I get that. But listen, I've been inside. I've already interfaced with some of the systems. I can show you how it works. Safely if you rush in. You'll probably break something. Trust me." The officers exchanged a glance. Protocol demanded they take control, but there was something about Jax's confidence and the fact that the alien ship seemed to allow him access that made them pause. "Very well," the woman said finally. "Show us, step by step." Jax led them into the cave. The ship hummed softly, glowing faintly as he approached. He tapped on a panel, and the holographic interface sprang to life, casting soft light on the walls. Blinds and symbols floated in the air, shifting and pulsing as if alive. "See this?" Jax pointed to the floating symbols. "These are the control systems. Not buttons, not switches, just patterns. The ship adapts to whoever is using it. I can figure it out, slowly." "You won't." The officers frowned, but the younger one leaned closer, curiosity overtaking caution. Do you understand it?" "I understand parts," Jax admitted. "Not fully. But humans, we're good at puzzles. We improvise. Machines can follow instructions, but we can see patterns that others miss." He demonstrated, gently touching a floating symbol. The ship's interior shifted, panels moving to reveal previously hidden sections. Lights ran along the floor, revealing conduits, power lines, and compartments. The officers stared, realizing that their scanners had missed almost everything.
"This is incredible," the woman said.
"Our technology could take decades to reverse engineer this." Jax grinned. "Could? Maybe. But humans? We don't always need decades. Sometimes we just need curiosity, patience, and a little luck." They reached a central console. Jax carefully manipulated the holographic symbols, and a projection appeared. A series of star maps, pointing to regions far beyond the Federation's current exploration. The younger officer gasped. These coordinates. They're unknown. How?" Jax shrugged.
That's the thing about ancient ships. They've been places no one alive today has been.
And they left records. If you pay attention, you can learn a lot. The woman studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You're showing restraint, which is surprising. Most humans we encounter, reckless, impatient, careless. Some of us are, but we're also clever. You're learning. For hours, Jax led them through the ship, showing how it generated energy, how its propulsion systems might work, and even how it could sustain life. Every time the Federation officers tried to intervene directly, Jax gently corrected them, explaining how rushing would damage the systems permanently. By midnight, the woman sighed, leaning against the glowing hull. You're extraordinary. We underestimated you. I didn't think a human could manage this level of alien tech so quickly. Jack shrugged, smiling faintly. We get underestimated a lot, but it works in our favor. The younger officer, still staring at the star maps, asked, Why? Why do you think this ship was left here, buried in a cave?
Jax's expression softened.
He didn't have an answer, not a full one. Maybe whoever built it wanted it hidden. Maybe they knew it was dangerous in the wrong hands. Maybe they were waiting for someone like us. The woman frowned. Waiting for a human? Maybe, Jax said. Humans are adaptable. Curious, persistent. And sometimes that's exactly what's needed to understand things no one else can. The officers were quiet, watching him work. Slowly, a new respect settled in the room. They had arrived thinking this was a simple salvage operation. Instead, they had found a human revealing the limits of their own understanding.
Hours passed like minutes as Jax continued his careful exploration.
The ship responded to him, revealing more and more of its secrets. He had discovered hints of an alien civilization, long extinct, which had mapped distant galaxies and experimented with energy in ways no human or Federation technology could replicate. The woman finally spoke, breaking the silence. You've changed everything tonight, Jax. Not just for yourself, but for all of humanity. You've proven that even a single human can exceed expectations. Jax looked at her, then at the glowing panels around him. He didn't feel proud. Not yet. He felt responsible. The ship was incredible, and the Federation had power, but it could be dangerous in the wrong hands. I don't want this tech to be misused, he said quietly. It's amazing, but it's also fragile and powerful. If we rush, we ruin it, or worse, ourselves. The woman nodded slowly.
Agreed. We'll follow your lead.
For now. But the Federation will need a full report, and they will want access.
Jax smiled faintly.
They can have access, but only when they learn to be careful. Outside, the asteroid was calm again, but the air was charged with tension. Humans had always been underestimated, dismissed as weak, reckless, or irrelevant. Tonight, that perception had begun to change. The Federation had just realized a single human could challenge centuries of assumptions. Jack stood, brushing dust from his clothes. The alien ship hummed in response, almost approvingly. He had taken the first step. The galaxy was watching, even if it didn't know it yet, and for the first time, Jax felt the weight of human potential pressing against the limits of the known universe. Curiosity, he muttered, and a little stubbornness. That's what makes humans dangerous, in a good way. The Federation officers exchanged glances again. They were learning, slowly, that humans were not what they had thought. Not weak, not predictable, not irrelevant. They were unpredictable, ingenious, resilient. And Jax Corbin was the perfect example. By the end of the night, a new understanding had formed. The alien ship was more than a discovery, it was a test. And humans had passed the first challenge. As the first light of dawn touched Vera, 7, Jax looked up at the stars. He didn't know what the future held, or how far this discovery would take him. But he knew one thing. Humans were no longer just participants in the galaxy. They were contenders, and the Federation, for all its technology and power, would have to reckon with that fact sooner or later. The alien ship lay quiet in its hidden cave, yet inside the air buzzed with anticipation. Jax Corbin's hands moved over the panels, adjusting patterns and connecting circuits, but his mind was racing faster than any technology around him. The Federation officers hovered nearby, watching him closely, their expressions a mix of curiosity, respect, and unease. They had come expecting a human mechanic to fumble, maybe break something, or at most, record the ship's data for official analysis. They had not expected a human to actually understand the alien design, let alone interact with it in ways they couldn't. Jack stepped back and surveyed the ship's core systems. A faint hum ran through the hull, and holographic symbols glowed in a rhythm that felt almost alive. He ran his fingers along one of the floating lines. The energy pulsed gently, responding to his touch. "Look," Jack said, pointing to the symbols. "This isn't just machinery. It's smart. Not like a computer, more like a living organism. You touch the right parts, it responds. Touch wrong, it ignores you, or worse, locks down sections. I think it tests whoever interacts with it." The younger Federation officer frowned. "Tests? It's a machine. How can it test someone?" "Not a machine," Jax corrected, smiling faintly. "A system. An intelligent system. It's been waiting for someone patient enough to understand it. Someone adaptable. Someone human."
The woman officer raised an eyebrow.
"You think humans were expected?" "Maybe," Jax said. "Or maybe we're just good at curiosity, at seeing solutions that others overlook." He tapped a floating panel, and a hidden compartment slid open, revealing a device no bigger than a human fist. This is a power module. Can't reverse engineer it fully yet, but it generates energy unlike anything we know. Stable, clean, almost endless. The implications were staggering. If humans could unlock even half of this technology, the balance of power in the galaxy could shift. And it wasn't brute force or military might that had achieved this. It was human intuition and patience. Jax carefully inserted a tiny probe into the module. The ship hummed, lights flickering in intricate patterns. Symbols danced in the air, connecting and rearranging themselves. Slowly, the ship began to respond to his adjustments, stabilizing sections that had been dormant for centuries. The younger officer spoke quietly, almost in awe. "I've seen thousands of alien systems. None of them reacted like this, and none of them accepted human input so naturally. We're adaptable. We improvise. Machines follow instructions, but humans, we notice patterns, we test, we fail, and we try again. That's why we survive." Hours passed, and the Federation officers learned from him. Jax guided them through connecting power circuits without overloading the systems, calibrating propulsion systems without destabilizing the hull, and understanding energy flow patterns that made no sense on paper. At one point, Jax paused and frowned. A symbol pulsed erratically, unlike the others. He tapped it with his probe. Nothing. He tried again, pressing lightly, rotating the probe in a small arc. The symbol stabilized and began glowing steadily. "See," Jax said, "this ship rewards persistence and observation. You can't force it. You can't brute force it. You need patience, careful attention, and a little creativity. You're showing us something we've underestimated. Humans. Your thinking isn't linear. It's flexible, adaptive." Jax smiled faintly. "That's what we do when we don't have the strongest weapons. We make up for it with brains." Then he discovered something remarkable. A small holographic projection appeared near the ship's center, showing a distant planet. The planet's surface was littered with structures, domes, and strange energy nodes. Data flowed through the projection, suggesting the planet was habitable, its resources untapped, and its energy network still functional. Jax's eyes lit up. This ship, it's a map. But not just a map, it's a guide. Whoever made it, they wanted someone capable to continue their work. They left clues, patterns, systems designed to test the intelligence of the user. The younger officer whispered, almost to himself. "It's like a puzzle waiting for someone clever enough to solve it." Jax nodded. "And humans are good at solving puzzles." He leaned back, surveying the ship's interior. This is why curiosity matters. Most civilizations would see this as a tool to claim power. Humans, we explore, we experiment, we learn, and sometimes we do it better than the people who built it. The woman officer crossed her arms. "So, what do we do now? The Federation will want this ship. They'll want to control it, but it's clear you understand it better than anyone alive."
Jax considered her question.
"We don't hand it over blindly. We learn from it first. We make sure the tech isn't misused, and then we show what humans can do." The rest of the night was a symphony of activity. Jax demonstrated energy distribution, showing how the ship could power itself and even sustain life in extreme conditions. He taught the officers how to interface safely with the propulsion system, revealing patterns that were invisible to scanners but obvious to intuition. The Federation officers were amazed. They had studied thousands of alien technologies, but never encountered one that responded so naturally to human ingenuity. The more they observed Jax, the more they realized humans were not weak, not primitive, not insignificant. Humans were innovators. Jax paused at a large panel that seemed to control the ship's environmental systems. Symbols flickered showing air pressure, temperature, and energy flow. "See this? Humans survive in harsh conditions by adapting. We don't always have the strongest armor, the biggest engines, or the highest tech. But we adjust. We solve problems. That's why we're effective." The woman officer leaned forward. "You're saying humans can outperform machines, and perhaps even some alien civilizations just with cleverness?" Jax nodded. "Exactly. And sometimes brains matter more than brawn." By early morning, the first light of the distant sun glinted off the asteroid's jagged surface. Jax had mapped the basic systems of the ship, understood its energy flow, and even activated sections that had been dormant for centuries. He had done it without breaking anything, guiding the Federation officers every step of the way. The younger officer looked at him, awe in his eyes. "I've never met anyone like you. Humans, we always thought of you as weak. But you're extraordinary."
Jax laughed faintly. "We get underestimated a lot."
"That's part of being human. But when we apply ourselves, we can do incredible things. Sometimes, things even the galaxy didn't expect." The woman officer nodded, a rare smile crossing her face. "You've proven a point tonight. Humans are clever, adaptable, and capable of understanding what even the most advanced civilizations cannot."
This is a new perspective for all of us." Jax's smile faded slightly as he looked at the ship.
It wasn't just a tool or a relic. It was a test, a challenge, and a gift. And humanity had passed the first part of the challenge. Outside the cave, the asteroid was quiet again. Yet the galaxy beyond was beginning to stir. Unknown to Jax, sensors in distant Federation command centers had detected the unusual activity. Reports had already begun, and the name Jax Corbin would soon appear in every strategic briefing. But for now, Jax didn't think about politics, control, or recognition. He focused on the ship, on the possibilities, and on the thrill of human ingenuity in action. By the time the sun fully rose, painting the asteroid in soft gold, Jax had uncovered a small projection of a device capable of terraforming small areas, a system designed to convert barren environments into habitable ones. He demonstrated it to the officers. The device pulsed softly, its energy flowing like liquid light through the projections.
"This," Jax said, "is why humans survive."
We adapt. We take what's here and figure out how to make it better. Not because we have to, but because we can. This ship, it responds to the same kind of thinking. The officers nodded slowly. The respect in their eyes was no longer subtle. It was full recognition. Humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of astonishing feats of creativity. Jax leaned back against the ship's hull, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. He had done what no one else had thought possible. He had interacted with alien technology, learned from it, and demonstrated the unique strengths of humanity. Outside, the stars glimmered endlessly, and the universe seemed to hold its breath. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. Tonight, that had changed. Tomorrow, the Federation would begin its analysis, its control measures, its negotiations. But tonight belonged to a human mechanic who proved that brain's curiosity and perseverance could rival, or even surpass, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And Jax, for the first time in his life, realized that he was not just discovering alien tech, he was discovering what humans could become. The alien ship hummed softly in the cave, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat. Jax Corbin stood in the center, hands on the panels, feeling the ship's energy flow beneath his fingertips. Weeks had passed since his discovery, and in that time he had learned more than he ever thought possible. The Federation officers remained by his side, but their roles had changed. No longer were they supervisors. They were students of human ingenuity. Reports had already reached Federation Command. Humans, once considered minor players in the galaxy, were now the focus of intense attention. Sensors and analysis drones scanned Vera 7 continuously, monitoring every pulse, every fluctuation of the alien ship. The Federation had never faced a human like Jax, someone capable of understanding technology centuries beyond their own. Jax, the woman officer said quietly, they're sending more ships. Command wants full control. They'll probably try to seize the ship by force if necessary. Jax frowned. Force won't work. This ship, it responds to intent, not threats. Any aggressive move, and it locks down. It doesn't care about size, numbers, or weapons. You can't bully it.
The younger officer shook his head.
Then what do we do? Command won't wait for us to...
Learn from a human. They'll act first.
Jax smiled faintly. Then we need to show them what humans can do.
Not with guns or threats, but with brains, curiosity, and care. That's how humans survive.
That's how we excel. And that's what they need to see.
The cave seemed to pulse with agreement. Lights shifted along the walls, panels sliding smoothly as if the ship recognized his determination. Jax approached the core console, running his fingers across the symbols. The ship responded, stabilizing energy flows and opening new interfaces.
Watch closely, Jax said. I'll show you what humans can do when we're patient, observant, and willing to experiment.
Jax guided them through a demonstration. With careful adjustments, he activated a section of the ship's terraforming module. A holographic projection appeared, showing a barren, rocky planet. Energy nodes lit up, streams of light flowing along channels that were invisible to the untrained eye. Within moments, the planet transformed in the projection. Once dead terrain sprouted greenery, water flowed in shimmering streams, and an atmosphere formed around the globe.
The officers gasped. That's impossible, the younger one whispered.
This isn't something humans, or even the Federation, should be able to do.
Jax chuckled. Not impossible.
Just overlooked. Most civilizations think in rules, in limitations. Humans think in solutions. We improvise. We adapt. That's why we survive where others fail. The woman officer nodded slowly. You're showing us something profound. The Federation has underestimated humans for too long. Your methods, your thinking, it's revolutionary. This ship isn't a weapon. It's a tool, a guide, a test. Whoever built it wanted someone capable to continue their work. They didn't care about strength, or numbers, or rank. They cared about intelligence and ingenuity, and that's what humans bring to the table.
Outside the cave, the Federation fleet hovered, sensors sweeping over the asteroid. Command was growing impatient. They wanted the ship now. But inside the cave, the real power wasn't in the fleet. It was in the hands of a single human mechanic.
Jax turned back to the ship. The panels responded to his touch, opening new sections and displaying star maps far beyond the Federation's charts. He pointed to a series of coordinates. Here, unknown sectors, rich resources, habitable worlds, and most importantly, safe paths. No one else would have found them. Humans can see solutions that others miss. The younger officer stared at him. This changes everything. Humanity isn't just a minor race. We're capable of more than we thought.
Jax smiled. Exactly. We're resilient, adaptable, and clever.
That's what makes us effective. He paused and looked at the officers. The Federation can take the ship. Yes, they can try to analyze it and control it. But if they don't respect humans' methods, our patience, our curiosity, our creativity, they'll fail. We don't fight with brute force. We succeed because we think, we adapt, we learn. That's why humans survive and thrive. The woman officer nodded slowly, a new respect in her eyes. You've proven it. Humans are not insignificant. They are vital. And your actions tonight, they will change how the galaxy sees us all. Jax's attention returned to the ship. He had discovered how to stabilize the propulsion system, how to maintain energy flow, and even how to partially integrate the ship's terraforming systems with human technology. Every step had been deliberate, careful, and guided by human intuition. Hours passed. By sunrise, the Federation officers had witnessed a human operating an alien ship with intelligence and care unmatched by their own protocols. They had learned something essential. Humans were not defined by their limitations, but by their potential. Jax finally leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. The ship glowed softly, as if acknowledging his efforts. "That's enough for today," he said. "Tomorrow we decide what to do with the rest. But right now, humans have shown what we're capable of." The younger officer smiled. "You've done more than show capability. You've rewritten our understanding of human potential. The galaxy won't see humans the same way again." Jack shrugged faintly. "Maybe not. But that's fine. We've got work to do. Discovery isn't about recognition. It's about learning and solving problems. Everything else follows naturally." The woman officer looked at him with admiration.
And yet, your work will have consequences. Command will want access.
They will try to control the ship. They may not understand that humans need autonomy to succeed.
I know, Jack said. And that's why we lead.
We show them how it works. We teach them how to think like us. Then maybe they'll respect humans for what we really are.
The officers nodded, recognizing the truth in his words.
Humans had survived countless challenges on planets far harsher than any Federation world. Humans had explored, invented, and thrived against odds no one thought possible. Jax was the embodiment of that spirit, showing that intelligence, curiosity, and patience were just as powerful as weapons or technology. Later, Jax stepped outside the cave. The stars were bright, and the asteroid belt stretched endlessly in every direction. The Federation ships hovered silently, sensors still scanning, waiting for orders. But now, their commanders would receive reports not of a rogue mechanic, but of a human who had unlocked alien technology beyond the Federation's comprehension.
Jack smiled faintly.
"Humans," he muttered to himself. "We've always been underestimated, and we always will be. But that doesn't matter. We survive, we adapt, and we thrive." He glanced back at the ship, its lights reflecting in the cave walls. It was no longer just a discovery. It was a symbol of human potential. The Federation would have to recognize it, sooner or later. Humans had proven once again that brains, creativity, and perseverance could match, or even surpass, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The woman officer approached him. "Command will want a full report. They'll likely try to assert control, maybe even take the ship by force. Are you ready for that?"
Jax looked at the glowing panels one last time.
"They can try," he said quietly. "But force doesn't work here. Only understanding does."
And humans, We understand.
As the sun rose fully over Vera 7, the asteroid shimmered with the light of the distant star. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. Tonight, that had changed. Jax Corbin had shown the galaxy what humans could do when given the chance. And somewhere deep in the Federation command centers, leaders were already realizing a hard truth. Humans were no longer insignificant. They were indispensable, creative, and dangerous in the best way possible. The galaxy had shifted. One human, armed with curiosity, patience, and intelligence, had proven that the true strength of humanity lay not in weapons or numbers, but in the mind, the heart, and the will to learn. Jax turned to leave the cave, pausing to glance at the officers.
Come on, he said. Let's show the Federation how humans think.
Step by step, carefully, but boldly. And with that, the first true human-led interaction with alien technology began. Not with aggression, not with fear, but with creativity, intelligence, and the stubborn ingenuity that had always defined humanity. The stars sparkled above, endless and indifferent, yet a single human had already begun to change how the galaxy would remember humanity forever.